Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Hub. Today's story is one of my favorites.
Let me paint you a picture. It's a Tuesday morning in March, and I'm sitting in my penthouse overlooking the city, watching my mother, Margaret Brown, arrange photographs of eligible bachelors across my dining table like she's playing some twisted game of solitaire. Each photo represents another attempt to fix what she considers my broken life. Darling, even with the dot dot situation, you can't just give up on love, she says, her voice dripping with that particular brand of concern that wealthy mothers have perfected over generations. The way she says situation makes my brain tumor sound like a minor inconvenience, like a bad haircut that'll grow out eventually. I'm 32 years old, a successful oncologist at St. Mary's Hospital, and I've just been diagnosed with a glioblastoma. Stage 4. The kind of diagnosis I've delivered to countless patients, watching their faces crumble as I explain survival rates and treatment options. Now it's my turn to sit on the other side of that conversation, and all my mother can think about is my love life. My phone buzzes against the glass table, a text from Mila Rivera, my colleague. Need you to sign off on the Thompson case. Simple, professional, nothing like the chaos my mother is orchestrating around me. And that's when it hits. Me, a reckless, beautiful, absolutely insane idea that makes me smile for the first time in weeks. Hospital cafeteria at 2 p.m. is a strange place to make a deal that will change your life. The fluorescent lights cast everything in this sickly yellow glow, and the smell of reheated pizza mingles with disinfectant in a way that should be nauseating, but somehow feels like home after 15 years of working here. I slide into the booth across from Mila, my heart hammering in a way that has nothing to do with my medication. She's eating Greek yogurt with the focused intensity she brings to everything surgery. Medical journals, apparently dairy products. Her dark hair is pulled back in that messy bun she always wears during long shifts, and there's a small coffee stain on her scrubs that she hasn't noticed yet. I need you to pretend to be my fiancé, I say without preamble, because if I don't, get it out now, I'll lose my nerve. Just for 3 months, enough to get my mother off my back. The spoon clatters into her yogurt cup, and she blinks at me like I've just suggested we perform surgery in the parking lot. You're joking. I lean forward, my voice dropping to that tone I use when I'm about to deliver bad news to a patient's family. I don't joke, Mila, I negotiate. She's staring at me now, really looking, and I can see the exact moment she realizes I'm serious. Her gaze drops to my lips just for a second, but I catch it and something electric passes between us. Fine, she says, and that slow grin spreads across her face. But I get to pick the ring. 3 days later, I'm watching Mila examine. Engagement rings at Tiffany's with the same clinical precision she uses to study x-rays. The sales associate is practically vibrating with excitement, probably calculating her commission, while I stand there wondering what the hell I've gotten myself into. This one, Mua says, pointing to a vintage Art Deco piece that's both elegant and slightly unconventional. It's perfect for you. When she slides it onto my finger, her touch lingers just a moment too long. The ring fits perfectly, like it was made for me, and I can't decide if that's coincidence or fate. How did you know my size? I ask. I'm a surgeon, she says with a smirk. I notice hands. The charade begins in earnest that weekend. Margaret has organized a dinner party because, of course, she has, and Mela shows up at my door in a navy blue dress that makes her look like she stepped out of a magazine. She's traded her usual ponytail for loose waves, and I find myself staring like a teenager with her first crush. You clean up nice, Dr. Rivera, I say, opening the door wider. You too, Dr. Brown, she replies, and there's something in her voice that makes my stomach flip. Ready to convince your mother we're madly in love? How hard can it be? I ask, linking my arm through hers. Famous last words. The dinner is a performance worthy of Broadway. Mila charms my mother's society friends with stories from the hospital, laughs at my father's terrible jokes, and somehow makes my pretentious cousin Richard look like an absolute fool when he tries to mansplain cardiac surgery to her. She's brilliant and funny, and every time she touches my hand or leans into me during conversation, I forget we're acting. She's wonderful, darling, Margaret whispers to me while Mila is in the powder room. Where have you been hiding her? We work together, I say, which is technically true. Office romances, Margaret sighs dramatically. So romantic. Though I do hope you won't let work interfere with your treatment. The word treatment hits me like a physical blow. I'd almost forgotten, watching Mela laugh with my father, that this is all temporary. That I might not have long enough to see where this pretense could lead. 2 weeks into our fake engagement, Margaret insists we attend the hospital's annual charity gala. You need to be seen, she says, like I'm some kind of celebrity managing my public image instead of a doctor trying to maintain some normalcy while my brain slowly kills me. The gala is being held at the Ritz-Carlton, and I spend an embarrassing amount of time getting ready. I choose a backless crimson gown that I bought years ago, but never had the courage to wear. When I look in the mirror, I almost don't recognize myself. Mila arrives to pick me up, and I swear her jaw actually drops when she sees me. She's wearing a sleek black tuxedo that fits her perfectly. Her hair is slicked back, and she looks like she could be on the cover of GQ. Wow, she says, and the word comes out a little breathless. You too, I manage, because apparently proximity to Mila has reduced my vocabulary to monosyllables. The elevator ride to the parking garage is torture. We're standing close enough that I can smell her perfume, something subtle and expensive that I've never noticed before. When the elevator lurches slightly, she steadies me with a hand on my lower back, and the touch burns through the thin fabric of my dress. You okay? She asks, and I realize I'm gripping the handrail like my life depends on it. Fine, I lie, because how do you explain that your fake fiancé's touch is making you forget how to breathe? The gala is a blur of champagne and small talk and my colleagues congratulating us on our engagement. Dr. Peterson from Pediatrics makes a joke about how he always suspected we had feelings for each other, and I nearly choke on my wine. Did we really make it that obvious? I ask Mila during a quiet moment. We didn't make anything obvious, she says, but there's something in her eyes that makes me wonder if she's talking about our fake relationship or something else entirely. When the band starts playing, couples migrate to the dance floor. Mila extends her hand to me with a theatrical bow. Shall we give them a show, Dr. Brown? Her hand is warm and steady as she leads me onto the dance floor. She's a surprisingly good dancer, guiding me through a slow waltz with confident grace. Other couples swirl around us, but I can't focus on anything except the way she's looking at me, like I'm the only person in the room. You're staring, she murmurs, her lips close to my ear. So are you, I whisper back. The song ends, but we don't move apart. For a moment, we're just standing there, swaying slightly to music that's no longer playing, and I can feel my carefully constructed walls beginning to crumble. Elizabeth, she says, and my name sounds different in her voice, softer, more real. We should go, I say, because I'm suddenly terrified of what might happen if we stay. The ride back to my penthouse is silent except for the rain drumming against the windows. Mila keeps glancing at me like she wants to say something but can't find the words. When we reach my building, she walks me to my door like a proper gentleman, and I find myself stalling, not ready for the evening to end. Coffee? I ask, though it's nearly midnight. Sure, she says, and I wonder if she's stalling too. My penthouse feels different with Mela in it. She's been here before for our rehearsals with Margaret, but tonight she seems to take up more space. Her presence filling the room in a way that makes my chest tight. I'm fumbling with the coffee maker when she speaks. There's a trial in Switzerland, she says, and I freeze. Experimental immunotherapy. I've been reading the studies, and the results are promising, early stage, but no. The word comes out harsher than I intended. I turn to face her, and she's holding a medical journal, her knuckles white against the glossy cover. Elizabeth, you can't just give up. The statistics, I know the statistics, Mila. I'm an oncologist. I can hear the ice in my voice, the professional distance I use to protect myself. I've read the same studies. Experimental means unproven. It means false hope. She slams the journal down on my kitchen counter, and I flinch at the sound. You don't get to just quit. Not when she stops abruptly, the words hanging between us like a live wire. The silence stretches, heavy and electric, and I can hear my own heartbeat in my ears. When you what, Mila? I ask, stepping closer. My voice is barely above a whisper. She looks up at me, and I can see the exact moment her composure breaks. Her eyes are bright with unshed tears, and when she speaks, her voice cracks. When I love you, you idiot. The world stops, just completely stops. I'm staring at her, at this brilliant, beautiful woman who has somehow managed to fall in love with me while pretending to be my fiancé, and I can't breathe. But she's already moving, crossing the small space between us, and then her lips are on mine. The kiss is desperate, clumsy, nothing like the practice performances we've been giving my mother. It's real, and it's perfect, and it tastes like champagne and possibility. I melt into her, my hands tangling in her hair, and when we finally break apart, we're both breathing hard. She's looking at me like I'm something precious, something worth fighting for, and I realize with stunning clarity that I've been an idiot. I love you too, I whisper, and saying it feels like stepping off a cliff. That's when the headache hits. Sharp and sudden, like someone's driving a spike through my skull. I sway, and Mila catches me, her arms strong and steady around my waist. Elizabeth. Her voice is sharp with professional concern. What's wrong? It's just a headache, I lie, because I don't want to ruin this moment with the reality of my diagnosis. But she's not fooled. She has seen enough patients to recognize the signs, and her face goes pale as she helps me to the couch. This is why you need to try the trial, she says, her voice fierce. Please, fight for this. Fight for us. I look at her really look, and I see something I haven't seen in weeks. Hope. Not the false, desperate kind that doctors sometimes offer to dying patients, but real, honest hope. The kind that makes you believe in tomorrow. Okay, I say. And the word surprises me. Okay, I'll try. The Switzerland trial is brutal. 3 weeks of experimental drugs that make me sicker than I've ever been. Throwing up in hotel bathrooms while Mila holds my hair back and whispers encouragement. The doctors are cautiously optimistic, but I can see the doubt in their eyes. They've seen too many patients like me to make promises. When we get back to New York, I'm weak and pale and completely bald from the treatment. Margaret cries when she sees me, and for the first time in my life, I think her tears are genuine. You look terrible, darling, she says, which is about as close to I love you as Margaret Brown gets. Thanks, Mom, I say, and I mean it. The follow-up scans are scheduled for Friday. 3 days of waiting, 3 days of pretending everything is normal, while my entire future hangs in the balance. Mila stays with me, sleeping on my couch and force-feeding me soup when I can barely keep water down. You know, this is above and beyond fake fiancé duties, I tell her on Thursday night. Good thing I'm not fake anymore, she says, curling up next to me on the couch. We're watching some terrible rom-com on Netflix. And I'm barely following the plot because I'm too busy memorizing the way Mila's hand feels in mine, the way she laughs at the stupid jokes, the way she looks at me like I'm still beautiful, even, though I'm wearing a beanie to hide my bald head. Mila, I say during a particularly cheesy montage. If the scans are bad, they won't be. But if they are, she turns to look at me, her eyes serious. Then we'll figure it out together. The scans are inconclusive. That's the word Dr. Martinez uses. And I want to throw something at his carefully neutral expression. Inconclusive is doctor speak, for we have no idea what's happening. The tumor has shrunk, he continues, but we need to wait and see if the treatment will continue to be effective. We'll do another scan in 6 weeks. 6 weeks. 6 weeks of not knowing if I'm dying or if I'm getting better. 6 weeks of living in limbo. I can't do this, I tell Mela when we're alone in the hospital parking garage. I can't keep pretending. Everything is fine when I don't know if I have 6 weeks or 6 years. She stops walking and turns to face me. So don't pretend. What? Don't pretend. Live. Really live. Stop waiting for permission from some scan to be happy. I stare at her, this amazing woman who has somehow managed to fall in love with me. At my absolute worst, and I realize she's right. I've been so busy preparing to die that I've forgotten how to live. That night, I can't sleep. I'm lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, when an idea hits me. It's crazy and romantic and completely impractical, but it's also perfect. I find Mela in the on-call room at the hospital, curled up on the narrow bed with a surgery textbook. She looks up when I knock, and her hair is sticking up in about 6 different directions. Elizabeth, it's 3 in the morning. What are you doing here? I drop to one knee beside the bed, and she sits up so fast she nearly falls off the mattress. Relax, Rivera. I'm proposing, not dying. She laughs, the sound a little hysterical. Oh my God, you're insane. Probably. I pull out a Twizzler that I've twisted into a ring shape. Marry me. For real this time. Even if it's just for 6 weeks. She stares at the candy ring then. At me, and I can see the exact moment she realizes I'm serious. Her eyes fill with tears, and she launches herself off the bed and into my arms, nearly knocking me over. Yes, she says, kissing me between words. Yes, obviously yes. We're both crying and laughing, and the Twizzler ring falls apart in her hands, but it doesn't matter. Nothing matters except this moment, this woman, this ridiculous, beautiful, absolutely perfect proposal in a hospital on-call room at 3 in the morning. I love you, I tell her, and it's the truest thing I've ever said. I love you too, she whispers back. Even if you do have terrible taste in engagement rings. We get married in the hospital chapel 3 days later. It's not exactly what Margaret had in mind when she started showing me photos of eligible bachelors. But she's there, crying into her handkerchief and making dramatic pronouncements about love conquering all. My father walks me down the aisle. Such as it is. I'm wearing a simple white dress that Mila picked out, and she's in a navy blue suit that makes her look like she could run a Fortune 500 company. The chapel is small and simple, just family and a few close friends from the hospital. Dr. Peterson officiates, which is either very romantic or very weird, depending on your perspective. He keeps the ceremony short and sweet, probably because he knows I'm still recovering from treatment and get tired easily. Do you, Elizabeth, take Mila to be your lawfully wedded wife, in sickness and in health, for better or worse, for as long as you both shall live? I do, I say, and I mean it with every fiber of my being. And do you, Mila, take Elizabeth to be your lawfully wedded wife, in sickness and in health, for better or worse, for as long as you both shall live? I do, she says, and her voice is steady and sure. The rings are simple gold bands that we picked out together. When Mayla slides mine onto my finger, her hands are shaking slightly, and I realize this is the first time I've seen her nervous. "You may kiss the bride," Dr. Peterson says with a grin. And she does. Oh, she does. It's a kiss full of promise and hope and all the tomorrows we might have together. When we break apart, everyone is crying, including me. "Mrs. Rivera Brown," Milo whispers, and I've never liked the sound of my name more. "Mrs. Rivera Brown," I whisper back, and it sounds like a prayer. We spend our honeymoon in my penthouse, which sounds pathetic, but is actually perfect. I'm still too weak for travel, and honestly, I don't want to be anywhere else. We order too much takeout, binge watch Netflix, and spend entire afternoons in bed, talking about everything and nothing. What do you want to do when you're better? Mila asks one morning, tracing patterns on my chest with her finger. When I'm better. I like the assumption in her voice, the certainty that there will be a when and not an if. "When you're better," she says firmly. I think about it. I want to adopt a dog. A big, messy one that sheds all over the furniture. Margaret will. Hate that, I know. It'll be perfect. She laughs, and I feel the vibration against my chest. What else? I want to learn to cook. Really cook. Not just heat up frozen dinners. "I can teach you," she says, "my grandmother's recipes." I want to travel, see the world outside of medical conferences. "Where do you want to go first?" "Italy. I've always wanted to see the Sistine Chapel." "We'll go," she says, like it's the most natural thing in the world. "As soon as you're cleared for travel." I love the way she says we, like it's a given. That we'll do these things together. Like she's not going anywhere, no matter what the next scan shows. "What about you?" I ask. "What do you want to do?" "I want to watch you do all of those things," she says simply. "I want to be there for every moment." The 6-week scan is on a Tuesday. We go together, holding hands in the waiting room like teenagers. I'm trying to read a magazine, but the words keep swimming in front of my eyes, and I realize I'm more nervous than I've ever been in my life. "Elizabeth Brown?" The technician calls my name, and I feel Mila squeeze my hand. "I'll be right here," she whispers, and I know she will be. The scan itself is routine. 20 minutes in a machine that sounds like construction equipment, trying to lie still while my heart hammers against my ribs. I close my eyes and think about Mila, about our ridiculous Twizzler engagement, about the way she looked walking down the aisle toward me. The results won't be ready until tomorrow. Another night of waiting, another night of not knowing if I'm dying or if I get to keep this beautiful life I've built with Mila. Whatever happens, I tell her that night, "I want you to know that these last 2 months have been the best of my life." "Don't talk like that," she says, but her voice is tight with worry. "I'm not giving up," I say quickly. "I'm just grateful for all of it, for you." She kisses me then, soft and sweet, and I taste salt on her lips. "I love you," she whispers. "I love you too." Dr. Martinez calls the next morning at 9 a.m. sharp. I'm making coffee and Mila is reading the newspaper, and it's such a normal domestic scene that I almost don't answer the phone. "Elizabeth," he says, and I can hear the smile in his voice. "I have good news. The tumor is gone, completely gone. The experimental treatment worked better than anyone dared to hope, and my brain is clear for the first time in months." I drop the phone and start crying, and Mila is there immediately, holding me while I sob into her shoulder. "Good news?" she asks, and I can only nod. "The best news," I manage to say. We spend the rest of the day calling everyone we know. Margaret cries so hard she has to hang up and call back. My father just keeps saying, "Thank God," over and over. The hospital staff throws an impromptu celebration in the break room, complete, with a cake that says, "Congratulations on not dying." Subtle, Mila says, but she's grinning. I work with oncologists, I tell her. We have a dark sense of humor. That was 3 years ago. 3 years of marriage, of learning to cook together, of adopting not one but two dogs who shed constantly and drive Margaret crazy. 3 years of regular scans that continue to come back clear, of waking up every morning next to the woman I love. We never did make it to Italy. Every time we plan a trip, something comes up at the hospital, or one of us gets called in for an emergency surgery, but we'll get there eventually. We have time now. I'm in the park now, watching our daughter Emma chase butterflies while Mila spreads out a picnic blanket. Emma is 2 years old, with Mila's dark hair and my stubborn streak. And she's the light of our lives. The adoption process was long and complicated, but worth every moment of paperwork and home visits. Mama, look. Emma calls, running toward me with a dandelion clutched in her fist. Beautiful baby, I say, scooping her up and spinning her around until she giggles. Other mama. She shouts, pointing at Mila, who pretends to be offended. I'm mommy, Mila says with mock indignation. She's mama. Emma considers this seriously, then throws her arms around both of us. My mommies, she declares, and my heart swells so much I think it might burst. Margaret has accepted our unconventional family with her usual dramatic flair. She dotes on Emma, buys her ridiculously expensive toys, and has only made a few comments about how we should give her a sibling. We're working on it. You know, Mila says, settling onto the blanket beside. I never thanked you. For what? For being a terrible patient. If you'd handled your diagnosis with grace and dignity, I never would have fallen in love with you. I laugh, pulling her close. You fell in love with me because I was a mess. I fell in love with you because you were real, she says. No walls, no professional distance. Just you, scared and stubborn and absolutely determined to push everyone away. And you stayed anyway. I stayed because I saw something worth fighting for. Emma runs back to us, grass stains on her white dress and dirt under her fingernails. She climbs into my lap, and I smooth her hair back from her face. Tell me the story, she says, which is her way of asking for our origin story. She's too young to understand the details, but she loves hearing about how Mama and Mommy met. Once, upon a time, I begin, there was a very stubborn doctor who thought she knew everything. Like you, Mama, exactly like me. And she was so busy being smart that she forgot how to be happy. That's sad, Emma says solemnly. It was sad. But then she met another doctor, a very beautiful one, who taught her that being smart isn't the same as being wise. What's the difference? I look at Mila, who is watching us with soft eyes. Being smart is knowing all the answers. Being wise is knowing which questions to ask. And what question did you ask? I asked if she would marry me. And I said yes, Mila adds, tickling Emma until she squeals with laughter. Because you loved her? Because I loved her, Mila confirms. And because she finally learned that the best diagnosis is the one you don't see coming. Emma doesn't understand what that means yet, but someday she will. Someday she'll learn that love isn't something you can plan or predict or control. It's something that happens when you're not looking, when you're too busy pretending to be someone else to notice that you're falling for the person, pretending right alongside you. The sun is setting now, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Emma has fallen asleep in my arms, her cheek pressed against my chest, and I can feel the steady rhythm of her breathing. Happy? Mila asks, and I know she's not just asking about today. Happier than I ever thought possible, I say, and it's true. 3 years ago, I was a woman with a death sentence, so focused on dying that I forgot to live. Now I'm a wife, a mother, a woman who has learned that the best stories are the ones you never see coming. I love you, Dr. Rivera Brown, I whisper, because I still get a thrill from saying her name. I love you too, Dr. Rivera Brown, she whispers back, and Emma stirs in my arms, smiling in her sleep. We sit there as the stars come out, two women who found each other in the most unlikely circumstances, raising a daughter who will grow up knowing that love comes in all shapes and sizes. That family is what you make it, and that sometimes the best things in life are the ones you never plan for. The fake engagement that started it all seems like a lifetime ago now. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd never asked Mila to pretend to be my fiancé, if I'd just suffered through Margaret's matchmaking attempts in silence. But then I look at my wife, at our daughter, at this beautiful life we've built together, and I know that some things are just meant to be. They say doctors make the worst patients, but I think we make pretty good wives and mothers and partners in the grand adventure of figuring out how to be human together. The diagnosis I thought would kill me ended up saving my life. Not the treatment, not the surgery, not even the experimental drugs that made me sicker than I'd ever been. It was the love I found in the most unlikely place, with the most unlikely person at the most unlikely time. And that, I think, is the best kind of love story there is. The kind you never see coming, the kind that changes everything, the kind that makes you grateful for every twist and turn that brought you to exactly where you're supposed to be. In the end, that's what I learned. Love isn't a prescription you can write or a diagnosis you can make. It's not something you can plan or control or predict. It's something that happens when you stop looking for it, when you're too busy living to notice that you're falling. And when you do fall, when you finally stop fighting and let yourself love and be loved in return, well, that's when the real story begins.